Good afternoon and welcome to Williams Island TV. I'm Bob Shelley, President POA, and we have a very interesting show today with some very interesting subject matter. But I do want to specify something that some of the people that we interview understand these are opinions of theirs. They are not the opinions of our island. Some of the events we talk about, whether it's religious, whether it's political, we are bipartisan. We don't take preferences and we're open to everybody. It's everyone's opinion is respected, so it's important you understand that. We're going to first meet in a few minutes with Cantor Ashkenazi, who is the cantor at Beth Torah. And the reason we're meeting him is not because he's going to sing, he has an amazing voice, but he did something very interesting. He traveled to Israel right after October 7th with his iPhone and the executive director and her iPhone, and they made a video and a film which has been playing now in certain areas. We are going to be showing the film one night in May, the first week in May sometime. And it's an amazing film, firsthand, done by amateurs, but it's the reality of what went on there, but not just the horrors of it, but more importantly, some of the stories of the people that were there, the stories of how they've survived, what they've done since then, how they've gotten on with their lives. So I thought it was very important that we meet with him today, talk about it, what made him go do this film. Like I said, just traveled with an iPhone, nothing more. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Cantor Ashkenazi, who we've known for many, many years.
We've known each other for many years, and I appreciate you having me on here and want to say hello to everybody watching on and off the island.
Now, by the way, I will preface this by saying you may know him from Avatar Turnberry because you were there for many years.
Yes, but for 5
And
years.
now you're at Beth Torah.
That's right.
So he's a resident of Avatar.
I'm a resident of Aventura, yes. So although we live in Hollywood, my heart is in Aventura, and now at Beth Torah Benny Rock campus, where you don't know this, but I see you every day. How do I see you every day? When I walk my kids into school, they go into the Shelley building.
Yes.
And I'm reminded of your commitment to not just Beth Torah, but to Jewish education. You having me on only helps to underscore your fight to preserve Judaism, to perpetuate Judaism and our ideals and our values. And so every day I walk my kids in there and I look at the Shelley building and they go in and they're taken care of, along with the other 360 kids, by their teachers.
I'm going to tell you a very cute, brief story, and then just to divest a moment. This was many, many years ago. And at that time, I had just become, it was past the presidency. I got in a cab. I was on the way to the airport. And in the cabs, on the dashboard of the cab was a prayer. And I looked at it. And I said, "What is that prayer?" And he said that. I said, "I say that every morning." And I said, "Really? Explain it to me because I find it unique." And he said, "Well, I'm from Russia. I came here with my family and my granddaughter, and we had no money. And we didn't know what to do, and we wanted to get an education." She was, I think, 4 years old at the time, 5 years old. And we met this nice gentleman, and he was able to help us and got us a scholarship to go to school. And every morning I say thank you, not to him, but to God, to present this. So my granddaughter, and we just had her graduation from the school, the middle school portion of it at that time. But it shows you how important education is, and you never know how many lives are touched by it. Now, you deal with this every day. It's wonderful what you do.
Well, our lives are touched by it on a personal level because now we have 2 kids in the school. We'll have a third coming up. That's true. Starting in August. And so we feel your love and your support as always. And I appreciate you having me on so that our viewers can get.
Anyway, let's talk about what we're here for.
Yes.
Obviously, October 7th was horrific, to say the least. But I'd like to talk about what prompted you, and I think you went with Jill.
We went with our Director of Lifelong Learning, Dr. Gabby Rostovsky, who runs our Shek Family Religious School and also runs a program called Chai Club at the Highland Oaks Middle School down the corner from the synagogue. She and I went together.
Now, how soon after the 7th did you go?
We went almost exactly a year after. We went the very first week of November 2024. October 7th was devastating for the Jewish community, for lovers of humanity, for people who love justice and pursue peace and truth. And it hit our community particularly hard. As you know, we're in one of the most Israeli cities in the entire universe, or outside of Tel Aviv.
Hmm.
Cantor is the most highly populated city of Israelis. And so it was particularly tough for us. We had seen documentaries about October 7th, and each of the documentaries focused specifically on the events of that day, which was so important. It was important for the world to see the devastation, to see the carnage, to see the extent of the brutality. But what we felt we were missing were documentaries or movies that highlighted people's stories the day after October 7th, how life began, how they had to pick up the pieces and begin life on October 8th, October 9th, October 10th.
Yeah.
And so whether it existed or not, we hadn't seen it, and we tried to find it and we couldn't. And so we came up with this, what we thought was a crazy idea. I'm the Cantor of a synagogue. I'm not a filmmaker or a movie
No,
producer.
that's what made this so interesting. Yes.
And so, yes, we took our iPhones. I think you mentioned that in the opening, and I made sure to get the newest ones so that I had the best technology on my phone. But we went with our iPhones, but we also wanted to help the local community. And so we hired 2 wedding videographers. They knew nothing about cinematography or, making a movie. And so I had to direct them, and I would say, okay, you stand here, you stand here. I mean, these guys are used to doing weddings and bar mitzvahs and have certain people dancing, but we wanted to be able to at least support the economy in Israel, the people of Israel. And we knew that was going directly to them. And one of them just had a baby. He sent me a picture of the baby. His wife was pregnant at the time. So it's really a beautiful story. And so we land in Israel, and we have connections to people who survived the attacks on the kibbutzim. We have connections to people who served in the IDF, who work in the IDF spokesman's unit. We got connections to people whose parents had been taken hostage. And so we went around interviewing people, but really the focus of our documentary, and I think this is what I was getting to before, was to highlight the individuals and organizations doing holy work on the ground to help advance Israel from October 8th, 2023 up until now. And that's what we did. And so we went and we spent a week there, and we interviewed the most incredible people who quite literally lost everything. I mean, they lost children, they lost family members, and they find the courage and the strength to wake up every morning and to say, I'm going to live another day with purpose. And that was the most fascinating thing for us, because it's hard for us to conceptualize. You and I can't even fathom what it's like. And so you meet these people and you go, how is it possible? And they all essentially say the same thing. They say, it will be okay. It will be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will be okay.
But it's amazing how they find the strength.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, the parallel is what just happened in California with the fires. Very close friend of mine, I'm just using that as an example, not in comparison to losing lives, but wakes up one morning with no house, nothing. He had his passport and his 2 dogs, his 2 kids, and his wife. Went to the area where he was living, and there was literally nothing there.
Nothing.
And he said, I'm starting all over again. My whole life. Now, thank God he didn't lose family, but it's still starting all over again for him. And it's wonderful how you see the resilience of these people, that they were able to come. And I don't know how, because I lost a grandson, so I know. I don't know how you ever get over it.
Maybe you never do. I've never been in your position, and so it's hard for me to understand. I've never lost a child, never lost, I mean, the people who are gone in my life,
Right,
people
yeah.
who are older, who had a lot of time on this earth, and we were so blessed with that. So how do you move forward from
I have to tell you something. It's unfortunate. I had a son that I lost, and I had a grandson. The reason we have the Shelley building was named after him. And I said, what do we do to keep, you have to remember, you don't want to forget. There's no need to forget. Remember, put it in its place, and use it to build on. And I built the school, and I thought the best way to continue his memory was through the lives of other children. He was 20 at the time, and education and whatever. And that was my way of doing it. But you don't forget. And I don't think these people want to forget, but they use it to get stronger. I mean, I'm going to just give you a source. We had on the Williams Island sponsors the Israeli tennis kids every year. And it's part of a tennis match we do. And we not so much sponsor it, we give the facilities to them, and there's an organization that sponsors them, and they come here. And these are little kids from 10 years old to 25 years old. They don't even have sneakers. They had to get
Mm.
sneakers. They didn't have tennis rackets. But they used tennis after October 7th. They went back to the courts, if they were still there, and played, and that's how they got through this misery. And we were very fortunate. We raised enough money and we built a bomb shelter. This organization
Wow.
built them a bomb shelter because here they'd be playing tennis and next minute sirens would go off. The reason I tell you this is 2 nights later on a Friday night service we had on the island, Janine was doing it, and we had these kids come to the service. And then also at the service was a survivor that we have on the island. She lives in one of our buildings, and she's 94 years old. And God knows what she lived through, you can imagine. Became an attorney, wrote 3 books. Her life is amazing. And to see the generational gap between these kids and her in the same room, both literally almost going through the same thing
It's amazing.
80 years later.
Mm.
So I understand what you're talking about. So how did you find these people to talk to? How did you go? I mean, you're in a country.
Sure.
Where do you go?
Right. Where do you go? So, everyone is dealing in some way or another with this tragedy, and everyone is personally connected. So the truth is, it wasn't hard to find these
Okay.
because everybody that knows somebody that knows it. But our director of lifelong learning, Dr. Gabby, was the logistics coordinator. And so, I would say to her, Gabby, I think you should try to find a few soldiers who maybe were at the Nova site, who, were off duty and they were dancing, or try to find people who went into Gaza. And she would pick up the phone and send emails and WhatsApp. And I remember there were a few times where I'd wake up at like 5:30 and I'd find already messages in my WhatsApp from her that she had stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning, our time, so that she can connect with people there at 9 o'clock in the morning to get them when they're first starting their workday. So she was really, really unbelievable in that sense. We played with the name a little bit of the film, and the name of the film really didn't come until we returned and I was almost halfway done editing it. And we settled on the name From Rockets to Rainbows, Navigating Heartache and Hope in Israel. Now, the reason we settled on that is because there was a moment that Gabby and I were in the car with our cameraman, who was also our chauffeur. We just said, "Hey, can you drown there? So you schlep us around Israel?" And he said, "Of course." And so we're, packed in his little car, and we're driving from Tel Aviv to Haifa to go to a rehabilitational center that deals with people who have post-traumatic stress, who have physical injuries, and so we're about halfway up there, and all of a sudden we hear the sirens go off, which means that there's a rocket attack. And so we pull over to the side of the road, and we get out of the car, and I had half jokingly said to the camera guy, if we get caught in a rocket attack, I'm going to film it. He said, "You're not going to be able to. You're going to be under so much stress, you're not going to be able to." I said, "Listen, I'm from Brooklyn. Okay. I rode the New York City subway alone. I was 9 years old, and I've seen things that you can't even describe. Certainly not in this.
That's a very funny metaphor.
But I'm gonna do it." So the siren comes, and of course I take up my phone. I mean, I'm nervous. My heart's racing to my chest. Like, you just feel the adrenaline and all the chemicals releasing. But I take my phone, and I was able to put it in the film. So the opening scene is you see us driving, you see me getting out of the car, and you hear the sirens and you hear the interceptions overhead.
Wow.
We were so close, Bob. There was a minute or two that I thought we were going to die.
So you lived through that moment.
We lived through that moment, and we lived through it together. And so we get out of the car, we get down on the ground, and we hear the interceptions overhead. And luckily, we were under an overpass. Had we not been under the overpass, I mean, we saw the debris falling. I'm not talking about dust. I'm talking about chunks of metal that are falling from the sky. And they land 20 feet from where we were.
Oh my God.
In this open field and kind of next to the highway. And then, so the event is over and everybody dusts themselves off, or we get up from the ground. Of course, I just put on,
New pants. Right.
And even the most hardened Israelis were just kind of sitting there in shock.
Yeah.
Some people started to drive away, but others just kind of sat there. They needed to collect them. So we did that too. It took us about 10 minutes. And we get back in the car. We continue to Haifa. And maybe 5 minutes after, we see this beautiful rainbow in the sky. So I say to our cameraman, can you slow down a little bit? I got to get up my phone. I need to film this. We filmed the rainbow. And you can hear me in the video in this very raw, unfiltered moment go, oh my God, we just went from rockets to rainbows. And it just kind of hit me that that's the metaphor. It's the reality. That's how Israelis live their lives every day, from rockets to rainbows. They've got to balance the joy and the suffering and the sadness and the tears and the laughter, and they need to continue to celebrate and to sing. And so I think that's why we went, really,
Yeah. Yep.
is so that we could find our voice to tell the story. There was the first Shabbat after October 7th, Rabbi Roisman and I, Rabbi Mario Roisman, who's our senior rabbi, and I do Shabbat for 360 kids at the Beth Torah, ECA. And so they're expecting us to come with a smile and to sing and to dance, and I play the piano, and it's a lot of fun, but I felt choked. I felt like we couldn't find our voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so by going to Israel and making this documentary, I think we were able to find our voice to be able to tell those stories.
So, I mean, everyone felt something. I mean, unfortunately, I say this very sadly, this is going on all over the world. I mean, you look at Russia and Ukraine, you look at Africa, it's all over. There's just so much of this going on today. But what prompted you to do this? What was it? I mean, it's a year later. There'd been a lot of stories and documentaries and interviews with some of the survivors and families of the ones that didn't survive.
Yeah. So I was meeting with someone who is pretty heavily involved in television, and I went to go seek his counsel, on how do you do it, what's involved. And so he essentially asked me the same question that you do. He said, what's your purpose for going? And so I thought I had an explanation. I get about 2 sentences and puts his hand on it and goes, no, stop. You're not understanding my question. What's your purpose for going?
Right.
And I didn't understand what he meant, and say, so, okay, let me ask you a question. What do you do at the synagogue? What's your job? Listen, well, my job is to help people connect to the liturgy through music and song. And he said, that's your purpose. Your purpose is to help people find their voice, to connect to October 7th in a way that maybe they haven't, through music, through story, through song. And look, I'm not putting on a uniform, and I'm not going to fight. And we actually met a soldier in Israel who said, just find your way to fight with us. Doesn't mean you have to come to Israel. You can write a check, you can come and volunteer, you can make a movie. And so that was my way to fight. So look, ultimately the goal is to use this as an education piece, because
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What would you say to Bob Shelley and saying, Bob, I want you to watch this movie because when you're done watching it, here's what I hope you get out of it. What would that get out of it be?
Well, I'd probably say to you, Bob, I want you to watch this movie because I want you to invest in the next project, which is the sequel to the movie.
Okay.
Where we're going to track hostages who have been returned, and we're going to go to Israel and do it again. This was an amateur production. It was funded by the synagogue, and we hope that the next round.
But I heard from people who have seen it, it's an amazing movie. It's Hamish, it's very just two guys, you put an iPhone up in the air and took a picture, so to speak.
But we tried to capture, one of the things that we kept saying to people that we were interviewing is, look, we're not Fox. We're not CNN. I'm a Jew. Gary's a Jew. We immerse ourselves in Jewish life. We want to talk to you like we're friends, like we're family. And so I think that really helped people open up. And that's what we were talking about before. Like, we had just noticed that in these other documentaries, it was very formal and very structured.
Yes.
Hyper produced. Ours wasn't. I edited the entire thing on my laptop, at bed, restaurant, at the dining room table. And this was, it was as professional of an amateur production as it could possibly be.
But it may be amateur, but it still tells a story. And I think that almost adds to the story, that it wasn't professionally done. It was done from your heart.
That's right. It was done from our heart. It was done with our kishkas.
That's right. Exactly.
Our soul. And I think we felt that it was our responsibility to do something beyond just, getting up and standing there on a Friday or Saturday night and preaching from the bima how much we love Israel or singing Israeli songs. That's great because it instills the values in our kids who are watching, but we didn't feel like it was enough. And so we went and we tried to tell the story in 50 minutes. We met this one woman, her name is Karen Flash. She had returned to her kibbutz to her, to where she had grown up all her life, and she left after high school. She had returned in August 2023, just 2 months before October 7th.
Hmm.
And she says in the film, I returned because I wanted to build a home. And she has a daughter. She has a son who's on the way, who is most likely arriving any week now, because this was already in November. And her parents were murdered on the kibbutz. And in the film, I ask her, what do you wish you could say to your parents? And she said, come back.
Hmm.
Come back. And that's
Yep. That's what everyone says.
people
Come back.
wish for, is they just want it back. And we know that they're never going to get that back, but at least by telling the stories, we can put this in the arc of history.
I find there's another meaning behind all this. You have to appreciate what you have because you don't know what tomorrow brings. And so many people, with the old expression, if you live in the past, you're depressed, and if you live in the future, you have anxiety.
Yeah.
So live in the now. But it's so true in a way. People, they have to learn to enjoy.
Mm.
And I think this story and all these other wars going all over the world, you have to live for today. You have to enjoy it. You know, you hear people that don't talk to their kids. They don't talk to their parents. They don't talk to friends. It's so mundane and ridiculous in the scheme of things.
Sure.
And like you said, what would you say to a parent if you lost them all of a sudden? What would the last words have been if there were words? And I think that's the importance of all this, that you have to learn from this and all the wars that we're fighting. Cherish what you have. It may not be here.
Sure.
And I think that's the message, I guess. But I can't wait to see the film. I didn't see it because I wanted to wait and meet you. And then I know you'll come to the filming. We're going to be filming this the first week in May. And it's not only about the Israeli conflict, it's really about people. It's how people get on with their lives, how they deal with adversity, how they deal with tragedy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Look, this film, not because of me, because of the people who are in it. And I actually say in the beginning of the film, you know, written and directed by the people of Israel, because it's true. It's got nothing to do with me.
Right.
This is a master class in gathering strength from within.
That's wonderful.
And finding
Yeah.
purpose to live another day when your life has been completely shattered. Can I tell you one more story?
Please.
So we meet this kid. I call him a kid because he's 18, and so I'm 42. But he's a young man. I'd say this. He's a kid, right? His name is Itai Amar. He is a volunteer for Magen David Adom, which is the National Ambulance Service of Israel. And on October 7th, they were going out, quite literally.
They lost quite a few guys too.
Well, yeah,
I know.
they lost a ton of personnel.
They did.
But they went out in their own personal cars in unarmored vehicles, which they weren't supposed to, and they got the orders not to, and they went in anyway because they didn't care. They were willing to risk their lives to save other lives, which tells you a lot about the character of the Israeli people, that they value life at such a high, you know, really so highly that they're willing to put their own lives on the line so that others can live. So this kid, Itai Amar, he's 18 years old. He runs down to his station on October 7th. You know, his superiors are telling him not to go, that it's too dangerous, and he doesn't care. So he shows up. His father, Police Superintendent Avi Amar, who spent 30 years in the Israeli police, sends his son a picture saying, I'm in uniform, I'm going down to help, just stay safe. All day long he's texting, he's trying to get in touch with them, and he can't, and you know, the cell service is dead.
Yeah.
Finally, it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, into the morning of October 8th. And he sends his dad a text, and he just stops responding. 4 days later, he hadn't heard from 4 days, he found out that his father had been killed. He had been going into kibbutz Be'eri, and he was shot by terrorists. But he sends me a picture of his dad as kind of the final memory that he has. It's a picture of his father hugging a young Israeli soldier in distress. And that was his final moment, final moment of grace. He's about to go back in, ultimately being shot by terrorists and killed. And he's hugging
another one.
Israeli soldier. And this kid, Itai, told me, you know, that is the memory I will die with. Hopefully in 120 years, I will die with, of my dad. That he was doing what he was put on this earth to do, just to comfort and to console and to protect others, just like he's protected us his entire life.
Selflessly. It's a wonderful thing.
And so this kid, Itai, he's now a fully licensed paramedic. He finished the paramedics course, and he said, I owe it to my dad. I couldn't give up. I owe it.
Isn't that wonderful? And that's what he's fighting for.
And that's what he's fighting.
Amazing.
He's fighting for his own future.
It must have changed you a little bit too, coming back. It has to have an effect on you.
You
You
know,
look at your kids differently, don't you?
I would FaceTime my kid. We have 4 kids, 7, 5, 3, and a 1-year-old. So I would FaceTime them during the day. You know, I could see the sadness in their eyes, and of course that would fill me with close to tears because they just wanted to have me home. And after that,
You went home and
got
hugged them.
caught in that rocket attack, I thought, oh my God, maybe I won't make it home. And I didn't know how to articulate that or explain that or to even rationalize it in my own head. And I've been around trauma and death my entire life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I got home and I think we just decided that our wish for our kids, which has always been, I mean, if you think about the one wish that you have for your kids, what would it be? What would you?
That they have to.
Right, that they're happy and
The peace and the safe.
and they have peace. And so my wife Joanna and I think decided that night that we would wish something different for our kids. Everybody wishes peace, happiness, we want, and it's great that they want to have that. But I think we decided that we would wish for our kids that whatever happens to them in life, that they find the peace within themselves to be able to get through the most challenging times, because we know life's challenging. We know there's, I mean, it could be something so basic and
I know.
simple, but to you, it's the biggest thing in the world, right? To a 5-year-old, it's, you know, why did he get the lifestyle and I didn't?
Yeah.
But they're going to grow up and those challenges would be much
Of course.
harder. So we just kind of wished for them that they would.
So you came home and hugged your kids.
I can't remember how my kids.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming. And I wanted this story before we do the filming.
Okay.
And we'll see you in actually a few weeks.
Yes, yeah, so below the screening here on
No. We're opening up
theater
on new clubhouse April 9th. And then when you come, it'll be in the new ballroom.
Oh, beautiful.
And it seats for the film about 200 people.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt it'll be sold out.
All right. So we'll see you here for the screening. First week of May.
Yeah.
The date will be.
Arlene will make sure we know the date. So it'll be on top of the video when we release this. But I thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. And great seeing you again.
Thank you so much.
Only the best.
Thank you.
Please give my love to the family.
Of course.
And we'll be right back. And welcome back. I'd like you to meet somebody that's going to talk a little bit about health and special health. Dale is a resident of Williams Island, Dale Audrey, and I believe what you offer and what you talk about and what you lecture about is probably very, very critical. Our health, our mental well-being, but more important, hygiene. And the reason I wanted Dale to come on and we talked about it is because, number one, she's our neighbor. You live on the Williams Island, and we love to bring people on that live on the island, what they do, their involvement, because it's amazing. We have 5,000 people here, and there's 5,000 lives. There's 5,000 stories. But there's some great people on the island and their experiences. So without me talking about what you've done, I'd rather you tell us in your own words.
Okay, thank you for having me, Bob. And I love living in Williams Island. It's just incredible place, as you know.
Yeah.
There's no place like it, and we're so blessed to be here and have what we have. And so the real mission of me and my company, Oral Fitness, is really to provide awareness of the importance of oral health for whole body health. Because without oral health, you can't have whole body health. And so many people overlook this fact, or they don't pay attention, or they put it off and they put it aside. They don't really address it properly. But it's really very important. And that's my mission, is really to make that aware to a lot of people. So with that said, I literally had a dream over 40 years ago where I woke up in the middle of the night.
You must have been a baby.
Right. Almost. My father's a periodontist.
Okay.
And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had this dream about creating this dental office that was very undental experience, almost like a spa, relaxing with colors and the name and everything. I woke up, I was so excited, and I woke my father up at 2 a.m. He says, "That sounds great. Write it down. Tell me in the morning."
Right.
And so I did. I wrote everything down, and this became this vision and impregnated in me, and I just followed this for my whole life. So I really tried to do this, but because of the laws in the state and whatnot, just wasn't able to, bring this to fruition at the time that I had the dream. So I just went on my way. I practiced for over 35 years in the dental office as a hygienist. And then I created my first product, which is White Tonight, which is actually selling in the spa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a natural tooth whitening pen that doesn't cause sensitivity. So in that dream, I had a line of products. So I started with the line of products since I couldn't have the office done. So with that said, I actually sold my house in Weston, Florida. After my children went off to college, I got divorced. I bought a 45-foot motor coach, and I traveled the country with a friend of mine who is a great salesman. And we got on the road with the White Tonight pen, and we traveled across the country for 7 years.
Wow.
We got in every natural food market.
Wow. That's a story.
One of them. Yeah, we just went berserk. And every day for 7 years, I was demonstrating in the stores and trying to bring this awareness to people about the importance of oral health, because everybody really wants to avoid going to the dentist, unfortunately,
Yeah.
or they're just afraid. It's this fear that they have of pain and money and everything else. It's very psychological. So we traveled for 7 years. I ended up in California, and then I tried to open again in Denver because I could open an office without a dentist there. And that didn't work because at the time it was COVID. So everything was closed.
Yeah.
So then I came back to where I grew up, which is here in North Miami Beach, and put my license with a doctor that's always also on the island. And so I developed my spa in his office. So now I can do that at the same time that I market my products.
So hygiene, obviously, you go to a dentist, you have your teeth clean, and it's whatever. Let's talk a little bit about you took it to a different level because you took the oral hygiene and said, if you don't have that, your whole body is affected by it, not just a mouth. And I think that's what people don't realize, the dangers of what happens when you have these. But what is it your product does? What was why'd you come up with this to begin with?
Well, I came up with it for several reasons. First of all, I'm very anti-chemical. I don't like chemicals. In the dental office, everything is chemical.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lysol spraying and the radiographs and everything. I just did not like chemicals. And I was always looking for more natural homeopathic solutions for myself. And so there was really nothing on the market at the time. So I really did it because I designed my products and formulated them and had patients use them and saw results because I'm about being effective, natural, and affordable. That's what I'm about. And it's really to help people become more comfortable with understanding how important it is, because they're so afraid they almost like block it out. But today there's so many studies on how gum disease is pretty much related to almost every disease in your body. Alzheimer's disease, breast cancer, kidney cancer. I mean, the studies are immense today. And it really does play an effect. So my goal is really to teach people how to take care of their mouths properly so they don't run into this problem. So they go for their cleanings and they enjoy their cleanings because it's a non-stressful environment. I do a little big to do, and make them literally pass out in a chair and fall asleep because it's just, they're so stressed. They just don't even want to know. So it's about touching people and really making them understand how important it is and helping them the right way, teaching them the right things so that they can live a long quality life.
Now, you referred to this as your spa. Why? What's different about what they do when they go to you versus?
Well, I was so fortunate enough to grow up in spas, and I literally was a member here when they first built Williams Island.
Okay.
And I was actually studying for my boards inside the spa. So I'm such a spa person.
Oh, okay.
Every day,
Okay.
twice a day, if you're seeing me. So that environment for me is bliss. So I want to share that knowledge and that experience with everybody and make them feel comfortable and put them at ease so they can accept the practice that I do. Because when you're more comfortable and laying down and you're enjoying it, it's so much easier for the operator also to do their job. So it's about giving to people and getting back, but really being able to make them feel so comfortable so that they want to go back and just don't have disease in their mouth. Basically, that's it.
Why do you think people hate to go to the dentist? What is it? Is it because there's always pain when they go, or is it the noise, or is it I mean, what?
It's
This is
the
true. People don't mind going to a regular doctor as much as they mind going to a dentist.
Yes, it's very psychological. There's a lot of factors. The first thing that I think is that, you're actually allowing someone to actually go in your body and you're up, you're not
Exactly.
under
Yeah.
any anesthesia or, put out
Yeah.
most of the time. So, you're actually, that's a psychological thing that you're actually opening your mouth and letting someone come into your body, number one. Number two, it could be very expensive. And I think a lot of people fear that alone. Maybe they won't go for several years and then they go in for an exam and now they have a bill that's $15,000 and they freak out because it's very costly. Also, it's very painful not all the time, but it could be very painful and people are afraid of that. Or they also have these childhood experiences because dentistry years ago,
Wasn't the
they
same.
didn't have anesthesia or
No.
they did crazy things. And so they have this. So it's all about touching people and getting them started when they're young, the kids, and teaching them how to take care of their mouths properly so that they don't have anxiety. And that I've seen plenty of things that are very scary.
So the products that you have are natural products, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're mostly all for hygiene purposes.
Correct.
You said you went around the country selling a pen
Mhm.
or cleaning. What was that?
Oh, that's my
Oh.
White Tonight pen.
Oh, okay.
That's this.
These are gifts we got today.
This was my first product, the natural tooth whitening pen.
Uh-huh.
So, I just didn't like the main complaint of tooth whitening at the time, which this is 18 years on the market now, is sensitivity problems. People love to whiten their teeth, but they get so sensitive they can't use it.
Right.
So my formula does not make you sensitive at all. I don't use the harsh chemicals that are in the other whiteners, and I use herbs and extracts also. But at the same time, it's professional power. It's very quick acting. It just doesn't hurt, and it's
So they're
very affordable.
distributed all over the country then.
Yes, even
Really?
across the globe.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I want some airlines.
So you must be very proud of what you've accomplished.
Yes.
All from waking up your dad 40 years ago, see?
Yes.
And him telling you to go back to sleep. Right.
Yeah.
Does he do this in his office?
My father's been retired.
Oh,
When he
smart.
was-
Okay.
20 years he's been retired. So.
So this is all natural, which I think today is like becoming a very big thing. You gave a lecture on the island recently
Yes.
that Carrie had done because that's where we were introduced. What was the reaction to the lecture when you did this? What was the people's, because that was a one-on-one, wasn't
Oh yeah, they really enjoyed it, and they were able to. I feel they were able to ask questions.
it? Yes.
And the thing is about your mouth, you can have disease in it or whatnot, but you just close your mouth and nobody knows. It's not like and wear on your arm and you can love it. So a lot of people don't address it because of that reason. But I think people were really comfortable and they were able to ask questions, and I'm always available, always to answer anyone's questions, 24 hours a day. So.
But I think probably with health big as it is today, and it's becoming so prevalent, people are realizing that oral health is connected to so many other diseases today. It's close to the brain, it's close to the heart. It really is becoming a major factor anyhow.
Yes.
And they're finding out more and more. Yes, I was going to say, because 25 years ago, you didn't even really think about it.
Right. Your
I mean-
mouth is connected to your body.
No question about it.
So,
Well, I think what you've done is amazing.
thank you so much.
And it's great that this stuff is here. We are not here to sell product
No.
today. Primarily what this is all about is to talk about how
Mm.
important
Yes.
the need is for what you do.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing you've done it. So do you have a location you have that you work in, or do you just have someone that does it for you there now?
I have a manufacturing plant,
Okay.
and I also have an office where I can see patients.
So you do still see patients.
I do.
Okay. Now, you said something interesting. You said you can't be there if you don't have a dentist there.
In most states in the whole country except Colorado, where I also have
Uh-huh.
my license, I can open an office without a dentist.
And the reason is in case something happens. Like,
Licensing and the way that it works,
okay.
politics and things like that.
I guess.
But yeah, but it's all good. I can still practice.
Well, this is great having you with us today. So what is the message you want to leave us with?
Well, very importantly, please everybody have your teeth cleaned and go for regular checkups. Very important. My mother unfortunately passed away from oral cancer, 6 years ago, which I found on a Panorex X-ray.
Wow.
So it's very important to have X-rays, a Panorex film, because it will show other things that you don't see, and there's things that do get picked up. So that's very important. Try to get your cleanings regularly. Do what you can at home so you can stay out of emergency situations, and just take care of your mouth.
A little birdie told me that you have a new TV show coming out. It's a reality show. Tell us about it a little bit, because I'd love to hear that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. By the end of the year, hopefully it'll be finished. It's a reality television show on my brand, how I built my brand, and what I went through, the struggles and the work that I've done over the last 18 years. But also, very importantly, is about making your dreams come true. It's called the Dream Formula.
Wow.
And
So it's not just about hygiene then.
no, it's about how I feel that most everybody has a dream, and what it takes to fulfill that dream, and how to get out there and make it happen, because I think that's what life is all about. You have a dream, and a lot of people I know, they're always giving excuses about why they didn't do something. And, I don't live my life like that. I don't want to look back and say I should have done that. Whereas I only go around once. You have to percent.
No one. So when does this show come out, and how can we watch it?
It should be out at the end of the year. It's going to be released by Fubu, Fubu.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the Shark Tank guru. This came in, had the fashion, and now he's in music and film. So it's a very big production company that we're introducing, and we're really excited about that.
Oh, how wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
that's amazing stuff,
Yeah,
because it's
great.
taken what you do to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So that's really more about what you're all about, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So that's your passion, aside from teeth, but obviously.
Right.
And you also have a book that you're coming out with.
Yes.
And what is that?
This is the book that I'm coming out with this year. Also, it's The Power of Oil Pulling. And oil pulling is a Ayurvedic philosophy over 5,000 years old. And they believe that swishing oil in your mouth for 20 minutes will actually detox your body and pull toxins out. That's where it comes from. But I modernized it, my formula, so you can swish 30 seconds, a minute or two, and still have a benefit, because it's not just plain oil.
Now, with the oil, this is an oil that you've perfected,
Yeah.
and it's all natural.
Yes. It's one of my.
And that's what this book is primarily about.
Yes. It's really trending now, and more people are getting into the natural thing now. Finally, we're going back to like Eastern medicine. And
So between your reality show and your book, how do you have time to go to the gym twice a day?
I work in the gym.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a different thing. Well, I wish you all luck. I wanted to make sure we didn't miss that,
thank
because
you so
that's very important.
Yeah,
And that's exciting.
Very exciting.
So how do we get to be on your show?
Oh, I'll just invite you.
I'll tell you all my dreams, and you make them realities. There you are. I like this.
Absolutely, 100%.
Eileen, get the dreams ready. There was somebody who I know, a friend of mine, had a thing. They called it the dream catcher,
Oh,
and they wore it. It was some kind of an emblem or symbol. Yeah. What?
They look
What?
like the Indian.
Yes, exactly.
The feathers.
That's right. Exactly. And they called it a dream catcher.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, again, thank you. And I'm going to watch your show. We're going to see you at the spa. And when the book comes out, please let us know, and we'll make sure it's here.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. And good afternoon, and welcome to Williams Island TV. I want to give you a little update with Arlene about what is going on the island. I know so many people are asking about when do we open, when's it happening, when's it going to become. Right now, we are scheduled, if all the permits are finalized, which I believe they will be, our goodbye party for the year is April 9th. That will be held in the new facilities on the island, and it's going to be all over the island. So tell us a little about what the plans are for that.
Well, it's going to be a taste and toast. So you're going to have an opportunity to taste a little bit of all of our dining outlets. So you're going to have a little bit of Aaliyah, you're going to have a little bit of the Island Grill, you're going to have a little bit of the Last Coconut. So you're going to have the opportunity to taste all the extraordinary dining opportunities you have here on the island. And obviously, we're going to have a huge toast because it is our 40th anniversary. So we're going to, celebrate 40 years of Williams Island and how great it is to live here. So it's going to be an
Well,
exciting event.
And just so in case you don't know the names that you mentioned, O'Lear is obviously the name of the restaurant that's there. The Last Coconut is the bar by the pool. There are decks out there. There are dining facilities. There are pool areas. So I think what you're saying is all of these things will be open that evening. Plus, we'll have an amazing amount of music going on.
Well, now the facilities aren't going to be open. We're going to have a little taste of what's going to be on the menu. So you're going to have.
But according to Jeff, we're going to have things happening all over.
All over.
That's what I mean. Yeah, just to see.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
talking about.
going to be part of it is going to be in the ballroom, part of it is going to be in the Olia, part of it is going to be on the pool deck. So you'll have an opportunity to see the entire renovation of the island. But the tastings is what I'm saying is going to be a little bit of, what we're going to have on the menu in Olia, a little bit of what we're going to have on the menu at the Last Coconut, and obviously what some of the new things that are coming up for the Island Grill. So it's going to be the island is spectacular, as you've been there and you've seen.
Yes, gorgeous, absolutely
it's
beautiful.
absolutely gorgeous. It's like you've been transported to a resort in the Mediterranean somewhere. So it's going to be a really, really great event.
And I want to tell you, not only is it going to be a great event, but we have some great people that have put this together for us. I mean, we talk about the people who live on the island and the talents they have, but Jeff Klein, of course, our COO, has been the head honcho and leading the charge on this. But our construction committee, headed up by John Fells, Jay Eichel, George Garcia, Richard Burton, et cetera, they have worked tirelessly for 2.5 years on this project. I mean, they are there day and night watching it, overseeing it, and it's just, you can't thank people like this enough. And this is for no money. They live on the island. They're residents. They're our neighbors. But it's going to be quite a production when you see this. It's not like anything you've seen before on the island, and we hope everyone utilizes it because it's absolutely beautiful. But that's not where the changes are going to stop. We also will be, last night at the finance meeting, we approved the continuation of our capital improvements. We will be putting in a sports park where the existing playground is. The playground is going to the triangle, which is that land right in front of the pool area that you go through the tunnel. Then we're opening up a new putting green. We're redoing, and that putting green will be behind where the old playground was, next to the 4,000 building. It'll be a 9-hole putting green. There will also be on the playground all the latest and greatest for kids' toys, kids' playground equipment, etc. The sports park will have new courts, basketball courts for the younger generation, which we have so many of now on the island. We are starting construction very shortly on the new padel courts that we're putting up on Williams Island.
It's exciting.
And it goes on and on and on. We are also, and this is going to be very exciting for all you dog lovers, we realize that the dog park is a mess. No matter what you do, it's still a mess. So we are putting AstroTurf down on the entire dog park, redoing the whole place. So it'll be indestructible and it'll be clean. It won't be muddy. It'll be taken care of. And we thought that was very important. So those are just some of the things. We have other events coming up though.
Oh, we have tons of events. We also have the golf trip that's on, but that's going to be out to Turnberry.
Yes.
That's also in April. And, we have all the summer months coming up. We have, so many kids events that are happening. Easter and Passover are coming up. We have our, annual Easter egg hunt, which, the kids absolutely love. We have 2 age groups, so we're going to keep the little ones with the little ones, and we're going to keep the older children with the older ones. So there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to. And if you're ever wondering what events are going on, you can, we have several ways of how we communicate
Yeah, please,
to the
because that's
event.
important. I know.
We have our Monday email, which will give you the next 2 or 3 weeks out. We have our website calendar, which has every single time we come up with an event, we immediately put it on the calendar. So you're going to get the latest and greatest when you go on to the website calendar and also the mobile app calendar. We're doing our printed flyers like we do that we send to each of the building concierges. And we also have a printed 3-month calendar. So instead of getting a monthly calendar, now you can look 3 months out to see what's going on. We also have WhatsApp groups, which the links are in the Monday email. So you can go to the Monday email. If you've ever gotten it, you can go back there and click whichever particular WhatsApp group you want to join.
Now, if somebody doesn't get that email, who do they contact?
Me.
Okay.
I'll look in our computer system and find out, some people unsubscribe without realizing they unsubscribe.
Okay.
And sometimes they haven't validated their account yet. So, once it's validated, they'll be getting
Gotcha.
the emails from that.
Now, somebody also asked me, we have barcode scanner now. So
Mhm.
if you have a guest coming or if you have a rental car,
Yeah.
you can actually put a barcode on your phone and stay in the resident lane. How does that work?
Well, you have to have the Gate Access app, and to get your login to the Gate Access app, you'd have to contact the our security department. They will give you the username and the password. And as soon as you do that, you can, instead of having to call the resident gate or the front gate, you can just give your guest a barcode and they can take the resident gate, show the phone under the little reader and they get right in.
So let's say if I have a car rental,
Mhm.
do I have to contact security first to get that information?
Well, if you already have access to the app, you don't. You would
Okay.
just,
Use my barcode?
yeah,
My membership barcode?
right, your membership
Oh, okay.
barcode and go on in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So there's the same barcode that we use to check into the spa, as an example.
No, that's the member app.
Oh,
That's two
okay. Two different apps.
Two different apps. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk.
One is more of a security gate access app, and the other one is
Gotcha.
for memberships.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what else is happening?
Oh,
What are you up to?
here, living the life on Rollins Island. I just did want to give a shout out. Not only are we extremely grateful for our construction committee, but behind the scenes to get Olia and the Last Coconut and the Island Grill and all those banquet facilities up and running is obviously Thaddeus, our wonderful chef, Gabe, and Natalia. Natalia has been working feverishly to get all the banquet information. We're getting calls already, for people who want to do weddings and, so our calendar is going to be really, really full.
Well, it's exciting.
So, yeah. And, Natalia's been working, overtime, and feverishly just to get that set. And I know people get frustrated because they're like, oh, where are the menus? Where are the pictures? Can we get a tour? Until we get the CO, we can't,
No, you can't.
we can't have people going through. So, we just ask that you have a little bit of patience. We do have our banquet menus done, so we do have that out. But, before you know it, we'll be able to give, future banquet facility tours.
Well, you touched on something that I was going to say also. It takes a village.
Mhm.
And people don't realize we have 5,000 residents here. We have 85 acres. We have 13 buildings, 13 boards, and 300 employees, a $40 million budget. This is a company. This is a business to run.
Mhm.
And we have amazing people that work on this island and run this island for us. Just this past weekend, we had the Fred Stoley event.
Yes.
It was amazing. We had 250 people on the deck. We had auctions. We had tournaments
Mhm.
going, food and beverage. We had the Israeli camp that was here to show tennis exhibition. We have the opening coming up April 9th. All of this doesn't happen by accident. We have, as you said, a team of people, whether it's CJA that runs the island, in terms of the mechanical. We have HR, Deborah Laveau that has it. We have Carlos in tennis. We have Carrie. We have Joy, we have Jeff, of course, who heads it. We have Thomas, who handles the money. You, without a doubt, keep us all together with the glue. It's a ton of people like this. And yet we never see an effort. We never see anyone without a smile. We never see anyone that's grumpy. Few people once in a while, but that's normal.
Our days.
We have our days. But everyone is happy. It's amazing to me. You walk around the island today and it's an amazing place to live.
I just think right now, the team we have is just phenomenal. We really, really work well together. And when we feed off of each other, and Jeff has been integral in kind of keeping, and he's open to the ideas, and he kind of reins us in every once in a while. But it's just, I think we got a really great cohesive team.
We do. And it's interesting because when we brought Jeff on, we said, okay, give everyone a chance before you make changes. And he literally has not made any changes to the people. That's how great we have, that we're blessed with. But I also want to thank our board of directors, because we do have an amazing board who have worked tirelessly and cohesively. We don't have fights. We don't have arguments. We have discussions, but we all work for the same purpose. And I want to thank the board, because without the board and its cooperation, a lot of these things would never happen. But keep in mind, we had made a promise that our capital improvements have not stopped, and we have our 5-year plan in place, and it's only the beginning for what we're going to be doing on this island. And very importantly, which I didn't talk about, is we have a whole spa refresh going on starting the end of this year. We just approved hiring the architect and designer, and they will be working on redoing the whole interior space, layouts, usage of our spa, and that should be completed first quarter of 26, but we will start that work this year. So as you can see, between the dog park, between the putting green, the sports park, the youth, the island, the spa, it's endless. So we just want you to enjoy. It's all for you. And what we do here is for the island. I'm a resident just like everybody else is. And also, if anybody has anything of interest they want to talk to us about, we would love to have you join us on the TV show. Get in touch with Arlene. As you see, we try every week to have somebody that lives here that has a story, that does something that we would love to share with everybody. So with that, I want to say thank you very much and have a wonderful and healthy holiday.
Bye.